This is the ultimate AT&T speed test video. I spent over $300 on cell phone plans and got 6 iPhone 12s to make this test as complete and accurate as possible. I signed up for AT&T Unlimited Elite, Unlimited Extra, Unlimited Starter, and AT&T Unlimited Plus, along with Cricket Unlimited More and Pure Talk's $45 plan to see exactly what the differences are in speed and performance of these plans on the AT&T network. As you know, AT&T's postpaid offerings, Unlimited Extra and Elite, include premium data. Unlimited Starter does not, and these plans down here, the prepaid options, do not as well. But AT&T Prepaid Unlimited Plus actually does include premium data. So what does this mean, and what are the differences? In this video, we're going to find out. First, all phones have all the apps closed on them. Let's close that out. And you can see their battery levels are quite excellent, easily over 50%, mostly at 100% here. This one's at 73, 99, and 97. All phones are going to be connected to the exact same server in the Ookla speed test app. I'm going to make this test as fair and accurate as possible. Let's dive in here and start off with a baseline speed test as to what these phones get when they're running a test by themselves. To get the baseline speeds, I ran the Ookla speed test app 5 times on each of the different plans. And here were the results after running those 30 tests. In first place, we had AT&T Unlimited Starter. Then we had AT&T Unlimited Elite. And in third, we had Cricket. These plans ranged from about 14 to 17 megabits per second down. Then we had a surprising drop-off in performance. AT&T Prepaid and Unlimited Extra finished in 4th and 5th, getting between just 4 and 6 megabits per second down. And in last was Pure Talk with slow speeds of 1 megabit per second down and 1.4 megabits per second up. I would have expected these baseline speeds to be much closer together. Let's see what happens when we run this speed test at the same time. Will we see these speed differences, or will one pull ahead from the other? We should see the postpaid plans get faster speeds here, but let's find out. And wow, already you can see AT&T Unlimited Starter was surging ahead, Extra pulled ahead, Prepaid actually errored out on us, and whoa, Pure Talk just got 14.3 down ahead of all the other plans, even faster than AT&T Unlimited Elite. So we're already getting some super interesting results here, and as these tests finish up, we can see Pure Talk, of all plans, went from finishing in last to first, AT&T Unlimited Extra in second with a speed of 11.9 down, Starter in third with a speed of 6.44 down, Elite in fourth, 3.24, Cricket in last, and I guess Prepaid didn't even finish. I'm going to run this test a few more times, get the results, and show you what the average speeds were. This is insane. I don't believe it. After running the speed test 3 more times across all of the plans at the same time, well, Pure Talk finished in first place with the fastest speeds. It averaged 21.3 down and 2.4 up. In second place, we had Cricket, which got 19.5 down and 0.2 up. Then in third place, we finally had AT&T Unlimited Elite, getting 8.3 down and 2.4 up. But what we're seeing here is such a drastic difference that honestly, I think my apartment is just in a bad coverage area. What can we do? Let's go to a new location with way better AT&T speeds and see what the true differences are between these plans. Okay, you guys aren't gonna believe this. I literally moved the entire setup, camera, tripod, desk, and phones and everything out to a new location. We are at what's called McIntosh Lake here in Longmont, Colorado, getting way better AT&T speeds, so let's dive into it. Let's start off by getting a new baseline speed test. I'm gonna open up the Ookla speed test application. As before, run 5 speed tests on each plan, and jump to the results. Speeds were much better here, and the averages were closer together too. They ranged from 126 megabits per second down on Cricket to 155 megabits per second down on AT&T Prepaid. And peak download speeds were also pretty close together as well. They ranged from 157 on Cricket up to 195 on AT&T Prepaid, and were pretty close together across the board. These plans were so consistent because when the AT&T network isn't busy, aka when there is no congestion, it doesn't matter what plan you have. You'll get fast speeds across the board because, well, AT&T has a fast network. But that said, there was one outlier, Pure Talk. Pure Talk not only had a rough start by getting an absurdly high ping of 857 milliseconds and a jitter of 2,600 milliseconds on the very first test, but it also errored out on a couple of tests. And finally, when it did connect properly, I learned something fascinating. Pure Talk has a 75 megabit per second speed cap on their plans. Check this out. We know the max speed is well over 100, and we can see Pure Talk briefly surge up to 127, but then it comes right back down to around the 70 to 75 megabit per second mark. I also observed Red Pocket on AT&T had the exact same 75 megabit per second speed cap, which makes me wonder, is this on all AT&T MVNOs? I'm not sure. But how does Pure Talk compare when we run these speed tests simultaneously? Surely there couldn't be a plot twist in here, right? Well, let's find out. On the first test, AT&T Elite jumps ahead to about 75 megabits per second down. Meanwhile, AT&T Prepaid and Extra are pretty much side by side, getting 47 down and 42 down respectively. And that leaves Cricket and Unlimited Starter, the two deprioritized plans here, in last place, getting 22 to 32 megabits per second down. And, Pure Talk, you okay over there, bud? Okay, you're okay. You can do it. Oh, nope, you cannot do it. Okay. As these tests finish up here, there's one thing I want to point out. There's a pretty huge discrepancy between the speeds we saw while the tests were going on and what the final results show. I mean, just look at the difference. Why is this? If we look back at the footage, this is because some speed tests finish earlier than others. When one test is done, it frees up congestion on the network, so the other plans that are still running get extra capacity and a surge in performance right at the end. And since Ookla records the ending speed of the test as the final result, this behavior actually skews the results higher than they should be. So instead of looking at average results, let's instead look at what the plans were getting when they were running side by side. This is test number 2, and what's weird is as we pause this test, you can see that Elite is actually, oh no, it's tied with Pure Talk? Oh my gosh, Pure Talk. But they are getting exactly the same speeds, 51 megabits per second down. Then it's a three-way tie between Cricket, AT&T Prepaid, and AT&T Unlimited Extra. This is perplexing to me because Cricket is deprioritized, so it should be getting the same speeds as Unlimited Starter like it did in the previous test, but here it's hanging with the prioritized plans. And lastly, we do have Starter getting a slower 12.8 megabits per second down. The upload speeds were also a little confusing to me. Elite is in first place, which makes sense, but in second place, we have Cricket and AT&T Prepaid. And then we have Extra and Starter tied for third, with Pure Talk kicking it in last. On to test 3, and here we see the performance I would have expected. Elite is comfortably in first, getting 70 megabits per second down. Extra and AT&T Prepaid are tied in second, getting about 40 to 45 megabits per second down. Starter and Cricket are tied in third place, getting 23 megabits per second. And of course, we have Pure Talk doing Pure Talk things. This is probably the clearest indication of the 3 priority levels on AT&T that we've seen so far. Elite has priority 1, Extra and Prepaid have priority 2, and finally Starter and Cricket have priority 3. But this isn't a fair test. Because the bandwidth is being split between 2 devices on priority levels 2 and 3, we still don't have an exact idea of what the true speed differences are. So how do we find out? Well, let's simply run a speed test comparing the 3 AT&T postpaid plans together, Elite versus Extra versus Starter, to see exactly how their priority levels compare and impact their data speeds. Let's pause this test and measure the differences. If we say Elite is getting 100% speed at 79 megabits per second, then Extra is getting about 55% speed and Starter is around 20% speed. On the upload side of things, Extra is at 67% speed, while Starter is at 57% speed. Running the test again, and this time Extra gets 64%, while Starter gets 35% speed on the download, a 10% increase for both plans. And for the upload, it's a little weird. Extra actually ties with Elite, and Starter is in last. I'm not sure what to call this one, so let's move on to the final test and then draw some conclusions. For the final test, the numbers could not be more perfect. I mean, look at this. Elite hit just over 100 megabits per second down, which means Extra is getting about 75% speed and Starter is getting about 25% speed. And on the upload, there continues to be a clear difference between the plans, but the numbers aren't quite as nice. Extra is at 82% speed here, while Starter is about 50% speed. So what can we say about AT&T's priority levels? Well, it's pretty clear there are 3 distinct levels. Priority 1 contains AT&T Unlimited Elite, and it operates at 100% speed. Priority 2 contains AT&T Unlimited Extra and AT&T Prepaid Unlimited Plus, and it operates at 65% speed, plus or minus about 10%. And Priority 3 contains AT&T Unlimited Starter, AT&T Prepaid Unlimited, Cricket Unlimited More, and other deprioritized plans, and they operate at about 25% speed, plus or minus 5%. And that just leaves Pure Talk and Red Pocket. Where do they fit in? Well, technically, they actually belong in Priority 2, but with a 75 megabit per second speed cap, as we observed. Why is this? Well, it turns out we can actually measure priority level using something called a QCI value, or Quality of Service Class Identifier. Using Network Signal Guru on a rooted Pixel 3a, we can actually measure and record these priority levels, and they match up perfectly with the speeds we observed. These values range from 6 to 9, 6 being the highest and 9 being the lowest, and when we measure the priority levels, AT&T Unlimited Elite comes in first with a QCI value of 7, Unlimited Extra, AT&T Prepaid Unlimited Plus, along with Pure Talk and Red Pocket, all end up with QCI 8, putting them in priority level 2, and lastly, we have AT&T Unlimited Starter, along with Cricket Unlimited More, both getting QCI 9, putting them at the bottom of the pack. So surprisingly, despite having a 75 megabit per second speed cap, actually do get the same priority level as the postpaid unlimited extra plan. This is great news for prepaid customers because you're not likely to be impacted by network congestion. Instead, you're more likely to hit the 75 megabit per second speed cap, which limits your performance, but that is still plenty fast for everything you could need your smartphone for. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of the different priority levels and performance on the AT&T network when it comes to the postpaid plans with priority data as well as the deprioritized plans, both from an observational standpoint and from a technical perspective. Please click the like button if you found this video helpful. It really does help support the channel, and Patreon supporters can now vote on what video they want to see next. Cast your vote by joining the Patreon at the link in the video description or by joining the channel. And make sure you subscribe for more videos like this one. I'm Stetson, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.